wanted to know more and more about mental health. So for mental health professionals, this pandemic has become a kind of an opportunity to talk to people about mental health and the issues connected to mental health. And this is particularly true for students, because the students are the ones who bear the maximum brunt of the of mental stress, particularly the students from whom people expect a lot, like our own IIT students or the top class, the cream de la cream students. Their expectations from themselves and their own families are so high that the expectation themselves create a lot of stress. It's like great that you rejoice that you have been admitted to one of the most important or a premier institute in the world, IIT. It's a brand. So you get a brand equity, but to get that brand equity and to maintain it and to display it and to work hard on it is a real challenge, because people expect almost miracles from you. And you also expect miracles. That will happen. The problem with this is that the pandemic suddenly shook us, because mental health day became particularly significant now. Why? Because the pandemic suddenly changed the reality. It suddenly changed the paradigm of the students. How did it change the paradigm of the students? Students were comfortably settled in their academics. Suddenly were asked to leave the campus, go home. The parents really were not ready to have the students at home. Students were not ready to be at home. So it was a really challenging time. It's not very easy for students to be with a family who constantly dote on them, constantly be after them. What are you doing? What are you up to? Why are you studying? Why are you not studying? Why are you not sleeping? Why did you wake up so early? Why did you wake up so late? Blah, 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 blah. This goes on. Students are not used to this because they have been living alone, all by themselves or in their own community, where things are absolutely different. So it was a stress for the family as well as students. To begin with, they all said, wow, मेरा बच्चा मेरा घर आया, मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई कि बच्चा मेरे साथ रहने वाला है. But बच्चा बहुत दिन रह गया घर में. So how to handle that situation? And now I think the slowly the exodus is they're all coming back. It's not an exodus, they're coming back to the their own places, and we hope in next couple of months the campus will be buzzing with the students. Uh, so this is a challenging time for the students, because they have to learn how to use how to use e-learning. We thought of making e-learning as an important aspect, but barring few people, not even teachers, professors, or students, know how to do e-learning. So there's time to understand it, grasp it, and then get into it. And any change that happens, and any disastrous change that happens, we usually end up doing three P responses. Number one, and this is true for the pandemic, because the first P is this appears to be pervasive. The disaster appears to be pervasive. It's like touches almost every aspect of life. I mean, you can't go out, you have to wear masks, you can't talk to people, you can't meet people, you can't, किसको गले नहीं मिल सकते. You have to maintain distance, social distance, so-called. It was almost pervading every aspect of life. So it really became pervasive. And since after the first wave, we thought it was sigh of relief, before we could sigh, the second wave came. And before the second wave was able, the third wave was knocking the door. So it was almost like permanently lost. And I think the lifestyle that we see, which is changed, it has some permanent impact on people. So second P that students have to deal with is the permanence. And even if it is not permanent, we tend to feel that it is permanent. Thirdly, though pandemic was a global phenomenon, every individual has its own woes, has its own problems, has its own sorrow, has its own दुखड़ा अपना रोना है, खुद का, अलग सा, लोगों से जुदा. So everything became very personalized. I said, oh my God, in my personal life, this has changed. My personal life, my personal family, you don't know how my family is. So three P's, the disaster brings, the stress brings. Feel it is pervasive, we think it is permanent, and we somehow think it is very personalized. So it's kind of gets on people. It's very difficult for them to handle. Pandemic itself has its own, creates its own repercussions, waves in the community. The first wave is, we are absolutely taken aback. Second is that you realize now what's happening. You kind of learn to live with it in the sense, okay, we are used to this. Remember in last year, April, May, there were so many pictures of empty roads. And I remember there was peacocks at Malabar Hill and whatnot, and people kind of enjoyed it. Following that, there was a phase of deep anger and anguish. When is this going to end? And then there is phase of feeling really lost and depressed. And before that, first wave was over, second came. So it's a kind of burnout syndrome is what we are seeing in the students and in the population. Now, I visit the hospital twice a week, and there are postgraduate students, MTech and PhD students who are there, and I see so many of them. It's not that I didn't see them, but I see so many new cases walking in and saying, and their symptoms are what? They said, oh, I'm not really feeling good. My memory has become weak. I can't focus. Somehow I feel withdrawn. Somehow I really can't focus. I don't know. I seem to be lost. All these were symptoms. And they absolutely really didn't know what to do with it or how to deal with it. So this was a stress reaction that we have seen. So we'll talk about this acute stress. Whenever there is acute stress, what happens? Body gives only three responses. Number one is, I will take care on myself. That means a fight response, that somehow I'll fight to finish. Second, I really can't deal with it. I have to get away from this. That is a flight, that is getting away response. And the third one is, I'm absolutely confused. I really don't know what to do. And when this goes on for a long time, we are in typical burnout state. But let's look at the fight, flight, and fright response. What happens inside the brain? You know that whenever there is stress of this kind, the, the brain reacts immediately by giving a stress reaction. And this stress reaction kind of readies the body to take some action. All the flight, fight response are essentially to take some action. Either it's like a very ordinary, a primitive man walks out of his cave and hears footsteps, wonders what it is, something there in the bush. Either that's a tiger or it's a rabbit. It's a rabbit, I can run, catch it, and eat it. It's a tiger, I have to rush back to my cave to save myself. Now, the problem today is we can't run away and we can't fight. So we get frozen. So the modern times have introduced new term called fright. And this is typical known as emotional hijack. If you understand and you understand the brain, there's a very small little portion of the emotional brain called called amygdala, which is part of the emotional brain or the limbic cortex. Now, this is a tiny almond shape. So it's an amygdala is almond shaped body. Now, what does it do? Very important to understand mindfulness. What does it do? It's supposed to be a hub point to gather all the information which comes from the body, hold it, and distribute it to different parts of the brain, particularly project it to the forebrain or the neocortex. And this amygdala is so much bombarded with emotional reactions, disturbances in the body, that this amygdala is kind of hijacked. It comes to kind of break down and say, I can't take it anymore. And there is emotional hijack. And we see a lot of people in that emotionally hijacked state. They're simply feeling extremely lost. And we see students, they feel lost, they feel very anxious, they can't take a decision. I think there's Shaukat here who is doing his work on cognitive science. He knows this much more than us. That the cognitions are the very important part of the human brain. And what happens is, it's not just the cognitions which get affected, even the metacognitions get affected. That means I don't know, and I know that I don't know, but there is nothing that I can do that I don't know, and I don't know. I mean, we create layers and layers of fear because of the emotional hijack. First, I'm feeling anxious. I recognize that that's a cognition, that I feel anxious. Then my immediate reaction is, I must do something about my anxiety. But I can't do anything about my anxiety. And I know I can't do anything about my anxiety. That makes me still more anxious. So it's a layer and layers and layers of cognitions and metacognitions in our own brain, which makes us feel absolutely helpless and really can't do anything about it. So that is the state of mind. And that is what the fright means. And this is almost, you can say, this is like the factory. This is where all the problems of psychosomatic disorders are manufactured. All the problems of mental health are manufactured in the state. It's like loss of self-esteem, self-confidence, loss of purpose, loss of ability to concentrate, loss of sense of memory, though actually memory is not affected. And then this whole thing of knowing what you're doing and knowing that you're doing and you're doing it right, this sense is also lost. All this is essentially because of the stress that we experience. And this stress is what really the most important thing. And this is what we need to talk about during these times. Every year I give a talk on mental health somewhere or the other. A couple of years back, I think the students, LGBTQ community asked me to give a talk on mental health day. And we almost talked the same thing, but we just said that the stress is essentially because of the gender identity or the sexuality or the orientation. The body reacts the same way. Understand that this is the stress and we are learning to deal with the stress. And how does mindfulness step in? So that before it's not that before mindfulness, people didn't know how to handle it. So they did know. In fact, I'm talking about stress since 1982. But we didn't mention about mindfulness. We mentioned about relaxation technique. We talked about hypnosis. We talked about body relaxation and skeletal-muscular relaxation and whatnot we talked about. But now we talked about mindfulness. So all that we talked about then was making sense. But mindfulness has stepped in and has revolutionized the world. Let's wonder why it has revolutionized the world. Essentially because mindfulness was put to test. This is what I say, that this is the wisdom from the East, but put to test in the Western world. The Western world was ready to pounce on something which is going to help them. What is going to help them? What's going to help them is how to handle stress at absolutely no cost. Because the cost of stress was a huge, hefty bill that to pay for the, the, for the angioplasties and the bypass surgeries, the chronic pain disorders, and diabetes. Suddenly we have something which can bypass the whole psychosomatic system of medicine and say, well, hey, come here, we'll teach you something with which you will be able to handle yourself. This is where the whole idea of mindfulness started. When John Kabat-Zinn in 1979, he was asked, very interesting story about mindfulness, how it has emerged, suddenly has come on the world stage and has become a global phenomenon. This all credit goes to His Eminence Dalai Lama, because he's the one who said, let's talk, let's bring the Eastern wisdom, to the Buddhist wisdom, to the Western world, and tell them that, look, this is a great thing, but we must do a scientific study of it. Just don't talk that, just don't gulp it down. See that, well, let me give, let me, let's create an evidence. Let's talk about evidence-based science of mindfulness. And some of these people who had been to the Eastern world, to Thailand, to Sri Lanka, to India, to Bodh Gaya, and so many places, they said, now we have learned something which is very unique. Vipassana was already there on the scene. It came from Burma, it came from Myanmar, because that preserved the pristine nature of Vipassana. The whole Satipatthana Sutta was brought to by Goenka Guruji and started teaching Vipassana. Then they said that let us do brain scan, CT scan, functional MRI, and then they said, well, it really works. The first experiment on mindfulness is known as MBSR, mindfulness-based stress reduction. What happened? John Kabat-Zinn was a microbiologist, was not actually a doctor or a psychologist. He's still non-psychology, but he learned this and was talking about it. And people said, we would like to know more about this, but can you help some of these people? Who are these people? They have the pain disorders people. Let me give a try. So they create an 8 weeks program every day for 2 hours. And they sat together and he taught them yoga, he taught them mindful meditation, he gave the basic concepts of mindfulness. Lo and behold, after 8 weeks, they came back and said, it's not that our pain is gone. It's not that our pain is gone. It has reduced, no doubt about it. It's not that it's gone. But what has happened is we no more suffer from the pain. What a wonderful statement they made. We don't suffer from pain. That means there is pain, but for every pain we are reacting. This is where mindfulness stepped in. They said the pain can be reduced, but the reaction to pain is what we create. Because the reaction to pain is based on our conditioning, is based on our judgment, is based on how we see life. How we see life as a very important thing, and how the whole painful situation has made my life so very difficult. And that is what changed. And that kind of, you can say, revolutionized the world. That kind of thing which revolutionized the world completely. And then that's the story of, that's where mindfulness started, and then started doing. In 79, 80, there are 100 or so odd papers on meditation and mindfulness. And in next 20 years, every year there are more than 3,000 papers, scientific papers on mindfulness. So I'm glad that you asked me to speak on mindfulness, because this is how I got swept by the wave of mindfulness. And I was lucky that that my teacher taught me not just mindfulness, but the whole idea of mindfulness as a core idea of Buddhism. But mindfulness comes from the Buddhist Eightfold Path known as Samma Sati. The word mindfulness came in 1881. Rhys Davis, a Scottish man who studied Pali, translated the Tipitaka into English and brought it to the world. And he translated mindfulness, Samma Sati, as mindfulness. The word is not absolutely accurate, because the real meaning of Samma Sati is Samyak Shruti. Samyak is comprehensive or wholesome, the right. And Sati is Pali expression for Shruti. Now, Shruti is what? Shruti is what we have heard. Shruti is the form of knowledge that we gather because we hear knowledge. So, Actually, mindfulness means to remember the knowledge of self. It's like when we go to a temple, or when I used to go, I was very, very hyperactive child. Even now I am. So whenever we went to a guest place, my mother, before entering the house, she said, "Remember, you are in guest's place now." That's the guest. That's the remember. Remember you are. Remember the reality. Remember and be aware where you are now. Oh my poor mother didn't know that actually she's giving me the first lesson of mindfulness, saying that remember you are in a different place. She didn't say all this. Be self-aware, do this. She would look at me and I would become, oh my God, where I am. I have to remember where I am. What I say, what I do, I must be aware of that. So mindfulness is becoming more and more aware. So John Kabat-Zinn redefined mindfulness. He redefined mindfulness and secularized it. It's very important to use it as a scientific tool. The Buddhists, of course, don't like. Use it as a scientific tool. We must define it. So he gave an operational definition of mindfulness as paying attention on purpose. That means you are aware. You are aware that you are aware. Paying attention on purpose, moment to moment, non-judgmental. So what the word non-judgmental means? That means judgment is conditioning. So deconditioning yourself, removing the judgment part of your remembrance, removing the judgment of part of your knowledge, removing the filter of how you see the reality. That is non-judgmental. And that comes from conditioning causes attachment. It's a non-attached attitude towards what you experience. And what you experience, which is the second kind of mindfulness. First one is mindfulness of the breath. Second is mindfulness of the body scan meditation. Satipatthana Sutta is the Shruti of being aware and be very steadfastly aware. So Patthana is making it very steadfast, making very stable awareness of your body. So body sensations rise, feelings rise, thoughts come up, images come up, intentions come up, and you are completely engulfed in that. And rather than getting entangled in it, like to detach ourselves and see this as an emergent mental phenomena that rises and passes, rises and passes. Because all that happens inside the body changes moment to moment. And it's the impermanence of this phenomena that occurs in the mind is what mindfulness is all about. And because it is impermanent, you can't attach yourself. That's a real truth of, that's a real definition of mindfulness. I was listening to a Rinpoche, Bhutanese, and he said, mindfulness is all about rediscovering the Four Noble Truths of Buddha. So we'll not get into that because you're talking about the secular art and science of mindfulness. When you sent me the brochure, I told Hima, I would like it to be called science and art. What is the art part of it? Because it itself is a very creative experience. This introspective process is very creative experience because you're not looking outside, you're looking within. So it's a very introspective, creative process. So, and then science, because you can really pinpoint now where does mindfulness take place. How can you say that the attention span increases? Very important for the students. How can you say that attention span increases? Because the anterior cingulate gyrus, that's where attention takes place. That changes. The prefrontal areas, the dorsomedial area of the prefrontal cortex, which are about the judgment, which are about the awareness, they change. The amygdala that I talked about, which gets swollen, almost shrinks. So there is nothing like a feeling dull. It's not that you start feeling dull. Only you become aware of that the pain. So it's like it gives me a lot of pain, but you say, oh, there is pain. It's just like there is pain. So there is anxiety. So there is this image of seeing something which I don't want it to happen, but I'm seeing it. I'm not part of it. I'm not attached to it. So it's a kind of learning to be able to witness what is happening. And this witness part is the most important thing. And then you create that state. You can create that state because it's a state of mind. And how you maintain the state of mind? Just remain there. When people ask me, how do you mean that you can't say it gets moment to moment? And I said, yes, because life is moment to moment. Only because it runs fast, we have that sense of continuity. It's like a film roll which moves at a speed that gives an illusion that you are watching a movie. Each frame is complete by itself. Similarly, each moment is complete by itself. Is only because you are caught up in the time and space phenomena of the world that you see this illusion of things being continuous. But mindfulness gives you that sense of frame, this moment, this moment, this moment. And that is where the pain, the reactive part of the pain seems to be going down. Now, what this has got to do with students? Very, very important. Where does it help? Number one, and the foremost, anxiety, feeling low, sadness of mood, anger, body sensations which make you feel uncomfortable. All these are essentially distractions. And these distractions are the main problem of everyone, but more for the students, because they are at that 17, 18 to 21, 22 age when emotions and body is, jumping up and down all the time and getting distracted very easily. And the worst part of it is that we are distracted and we get carried away, and you don't know that you're being carried away. And I've treated some students who came and said, I lost a semester. Why? Because I was playing games. So I asked him, were you aware that you're playing games? He said, kind of. So what happened? Once I start playing, I lose sense of time. So it's like continuous flow, that illusion that it is just flowing, that you're not aware, and you're not aware that you're not aware, that you're doing a mindless thing. Your mindlessness, in students particularly, the mindlessness is so severe and so grasping that they don't know that they're mindless. The mindlessness is so much that they don't know that they're mindless. So when people say, I try to do it, but I can't do it, I said, wow, that's a great moment, because you know that you can't do it. Earlier, you will get carried away. So this is the mindless state, which is caused by all these distractions which appear in the body. And it appear in the body, they are in the mind. You create those images, imaginations. You lose the purpose why you're doing whatever that you're doing, and you don't feel good about it. And when you come to senses, you say, oh my God, I lost so much time. And because I feel so bad, that I feel still worse. And when I feel worse, it's very, very difficult to bring me back. This is the story of mindfulness. And you might ask me, how do you do that? How do you do that? How do you achieve this state? How do you do this? Very, very important. Now, what has happened is meditation and mindfulness are two different things. They are complementary, they are supplementary, but they cannot be switched one for the other. Meditation is basically of the kind that we are taught. It's known as concentration meditation. But everyone tells you, concentrate. Nobody tells you how to, but they keep on saying, concentrate. So meditation helps you to concentrate better. It's a concentration meditation. Mindful meditation goes beyond concentration. We are not putting which is better, this or that. We are not going, this is superior or inferior. There are two different ways. Finally, it's going to help you, either with your right hand or with your left hand. पेट में जाने वाला है. So concentration meditation is what most of the times people are doing. So it's they're usually there's instructions are just sit down and remove all the thoughts from your mind. Oh my God. I mean, I can't remove my thoughts. I can't remove my thoughts. In fact, my thoughts disturb me so much that I can't remove them. I run after them and they run after me. The more I try to get rid of it, worse it gets. So just by saying remove your thoughts, it doesn't happen. It really doesn't happen. So some people say, well, with practice, it does happen. But I think we'll put concentration meditation aside because it has got a different kind of connotation. It's a different kind. It's more of a religious connotation that it has been attached to. Actually, it's not. But it gets that kind of connotation has been attached to it. Well, mindful meditation is really secular, really free from any kind of religious thought. So how is it different? Number one, that the benefits may be similar, but the benefits of mindful meditation are really of a different kind. Of what kind? There is so much of clarity because the purpose is deconditioning. Purpose is becoming non-judgmental. So there is absolutely crystal clear clarity about what you are, what your feelings are, and how impermanent they are. So that clarity is very, very important. Second thing happens is that you create harmony within yourself, because once you try to concentrate and you can't concentrate, you feel upset, angry, mindful meditation will say, okay, take it easy. You are your best friend. It is gone, just call back your attention to the breath. Just call back attention to your breath. It's like you teach a baby, or you have a puppy at home and it doesn't know how to behave. Just a 2 weeks old puppy. It poos and pees everywhere. So you train, but you don't hit the puppy, you don't hit the child. So just that kind of compassionate relationship you develop with self, that gives you tremendous encouragement. Compassion, self-compassion is not falling with love with yourself. No, it's actually being able to completely, radically accept yourself, the real you. So this compassionate feeling is very important because that keeps you going. That you say, okay, come on, lost it, come back and do it. So this harmonious relationship with self goes external and becomes more harmonious with the world. Very, very important. Third, your reactivity to situation is much less. So rather than reacting, you start responding. So rather than reacting to anything that is happening, there is between the trigger and the action that you take, there is yourself, and that chooses a response. That gives you a choice of letting you do what you really want to do. To make it very simple, we have a mobile, and mobile, when we don't want to take a call, what do we say? There is an app which says, oh, you are not taking the call, just click and say, I'm busy, I'm in a movie, I'll call you later, etc. Or there is nothing like say, I don't like your face, I don't like your voice. There is no template of that kind. But at the end of it, there is a template that says, you can create your own template. So this is difference between reaction and response. You create your own response because this is what you truly are. So you learn to create a response to the situation, which is very important in mindful meditation. Thirdly, there's a kind of tolerance that develops because you develop a kind of metta bhavana, which means being friendly with oneself and being friendly with the world. This is, you might say, how, or this is to be experienced. And I may say many times, this is what I experienced. If you don't trust me or trust your experience, in Kalama Sutta, Buddha says, don't trust anyone, trust your own experience. So experience and you will know. We are moving on to that experience. So this is how mindful meditation is good. And we are not here for, many people say क्या अरे तुम mindful meditation करते हो आप तो अभी आपका तो निर्वाणा हो गया ऐसे मैं जिंदा हूँ निर्वाण नहीं हुआ है अभी तक मेरा आई एम अलाइव तो निर्वाण नहीं है ये निब्बाण नहीं है you just become more lively. In fact, it's not that you lose life, you become more lively, you become more enthusiastic, you have more energy because you're so much full of that harmony within yourself. You're so much at peace with yourself, so much harmonious with yourself. You become more energetic. You want a proof? Look at me. Anyway, so this is what mindfulness is in very short, you can say. Particularly important for students because the benefits are immediate. And how do you say the benefits are immediate? Oh, the Western world is, Western science is absolutely dot on it. They said, well, because this all started, 30 years back when they studied the Buddhist monks, some of the monks who were imported, airlifted from India and Thailand and Burma, Sri Lanka were taken to US, curtsy, Dalai Lama, and they're put into MRI scan, the tube-like thing. I said, these guys are different. Their brains are different. Their brains are different. And how many hours have you meditated? They say, oh, we have been meditating for years together. So they calculate, this guy may have meditated more than 10,000 hours. So this kind of put them off. Oh my God. This sounds very good, but it's like, it's like beyond anyone. You can't reach out there. They said, possible to make it short. So they started shortening. That's how John Kabat-Zinn said it's only an 8-week course. So the work that they did was 20 minutes of meditation every day for 8 weeks, 20 minutes, 8 weeks. The brain changes. The amygdala starts working in a different way. Anterior cingulate gyrus starts working in a different way. The hippocampus starts working in a different way. The dorsomedial nuclei start working in a different way. Different way in the sense they become more strengthened. They become, perhaps you can say, they become more confident. They become thicker. This is known as neuroplasticity. It's like the brain really grows. When we were students, we were given, look, this is the brain that you have got. Nothing new will come. Only it can be lost. You can't create anything new in this. This is no fait accompli. अगर आपको बुद्धि है तो है, नहीं है तो नहीं है. जितना है उतना यूज कर लो बस. Mindful meditation came and they said there's something called neuroplasticity. That means your brain can indeed grow, create new connections. The connections become thicker, and you say, now I'm a different person because I can think different. So much praise for mindfulness. Let's do a small demonstration of mindfulness. And you know what, very interestingly, what they have done is they have kind of removed all the flab which was there. सब कुछ निकाल दिया है, skeletal बना दिया है इसका. मतलब minimum that you can do is what? Minimum that you do is very simple. Only 3 basic steps. I'll explain. Number 1 is very important. Wherever you are, sit straight. When I say sit straight, just allow the spine of the body to take its natural course, natural curves. So sit erect, spine straight, but not so erect, not stiff. Good, firm. Shoulders should be pulled back a little and down so that your body is relaxed. Be very comfortable. You don't have to sit in Padmasana. You don't have to sit in Sukhasana. You can sit chair and do it. In Vipassana, they say you can have a walking meditation too, Chankramana. You can have walking meditation too. So sit wherever you are. Make sure that your body, the spine is in a good shape. Shoulders are relaxed. Pull back a little. So your lungs open. I'm going to tell you about the physiology also. Lungs open. Then when this happens, make sure that your body is relaxed. Make sure your body is and your body is relaxed, the body sensations become much less. Choose a place which is quiet, generally, whatever quietness is around you. Then focus your mind on the breath. Now, what is it? See, breathing is a very natural. Nobody has to be taught to breathe. It's just first lusty cry that you give, lungs open like balloons and start breathing. So the thing is very important that you breathe, open your lungs. So breath is important because it's a constant supply of oxygen that you give to your body. So you open up, so the lungs open completely. And when the breath enters your body and leaves your body, that's a sensation that you want. Why that sensation? Why that sensation? Because it's very easy, very natural. One and two. Because when you concentrate on one, you are absolutely distracting yourself from other things. So you focus on your breath, easy. If you can't focus on your breath, it really doesn't matter. What you can do is you can put your feet firmly on the ground. Wherever you are, put your feet firmly on the ground. Feel the floor. Completely feel the floor. Now, how do you feel the floor? Just the soles of your feet, not S-O-U-L, S-O-L-E, soles of your feet. Let them touch the ground very clearly. You will feel the ground. You will feel the ground. If you can't feel, just move a little bit and you will feel the ground. And then focus on the feeling. Focus on the feeling of the floor. Or focus on the feeling of your breath, in and out. And it gently comes through the nostrils and leaves the nostrils. It touches some part of the nostril. Just be aware of that. Just be aware of that. Just be aware. But don't force yourself. जरूरत नहीं है. Just slightly, very slightly. Okay. Then remain focused there. Third, very important thing. Nobody tells you about this. Your out breath should be longer. That means you breathe in 4, hold for 4 counts, and breathe out for 7 or 8. That means your breathing out process should be longer than breathing in. Why am I focusing so much? Let me tell you the physiology, the medical science behind it. Little complex. Breath or any other system which is involuntary in the body, digestion, kidney functions, liver function, lung function, brain function, they're all unconscious. They are carried out by a system which works automatically. It's known as autonomic nervous system, which consists of 2 parts, the sympathetic system and the parasympathetic system. Sympathetic system is the one which accelerates, and parasympathetic system is one which decelerates. That means brings it down. So create a very fine balance. Now, what we want in mindful meditation, we want the balance to be slightly tilted towards parasympathetic system, because the parasympathetic system is all about rest and digest. Remember these words, rest and digest. Rest means be at peace, digest means let your body function properly, because the sympathetic is a little hyperactive. So artificially lengthen your breathing out. That means let parasympathetic system be slightly more powerful than the sympathetic system. Do it again and again, and you will learn that you can create a rhythm of 1, 1, 2. That means in, hold, out, 1, 1, 2. Okay, so let's try and do it. You can use different methods. You can have a ring, you can ring a bell, or just say quiet. People want to say Omkar. I have no issue, but I don't. So wherever you are, just focus. As I said, feel your breath or feel the soles of the feet. Easy breathe in, easy breathe out. Breathe out is a little longer than the breathe in. In and out. In and gentle, very gentle. And as you breathe in and breathe out, you'll find that as you breathe out, you experience the rest and digest process in the body. That means your body relaxes, your muscles relax, your joint relax, and there is no more stress anywhere in the body. To do that, what you can do is head to toe, slowly relax your body. Your head, forehead muscles particularly, shoulders, arms, elbows, back muscles, thigh muscles, calf muscles, knee joints, and feet. You can go up, down, or down. Just remain focused on that sensation in the body of coming in and going out of the breath and the relaxed feeling of the. If you get thoughts, ignore it. You may get thoughts like, am I doing it right? Is it too fast? Is it too slow? Or will there be a benefit of this, or will not there be a benefit? It's going to be useful or not useful. Practice to begin with, practice just for 5 minutes. Have a space where you do it regularly. Keep it time bound. Every morning I will do it. It's like training your body. The body will be, come on now. And like body gets hungry, the body says, come on, let me do the let me do the mindful meditation. Do it 2 or 3, 4 times in a day. Or if you can't do it, sitting, walk. When you walk, just experience your body. Because the body has a beautiful rhythm. When you step one step at a time, do it very gently, do it very slowly. You will feel the movement of your legs, of the muscles in the body, one after the other, one after the other. Every muscle and the joint moves. Just be aware. When my Guruji taught me, we climbed staircase and we took such a long time. It's like a snail pace, very slowly. I said, Guruji, am I supposed to walk so slowly? He said, no, you are just supposed to be aware of your body. To get that awareness, you do it slowly. It's like how we were taught how to write. We just for many days we just practice alphabet or gamma bhana. Right? Remember those four line notebooks we had, so that everything is right. So it's like don't use this 4-line word anymore. But that was very useful. So this you learn. Or if you want to practice mindful eating. Very beautiful. Take a small, take an ordinary biscuit, any biscuit, cookie, कुछ भी ले लो हाथ में. Okay, I'll show you. I've got this Mari biscuit in my hand. My mindfulness meditation is very beautiful with eating meditation. It's like when I pick up the cookie in my hand, the biscuit in my hand, I said, oh my God, what's this new piece that I'm seeing? Also, I've seen it for the first time because I want to feel the complete sensation. So I see the surface, the front surface, the back surface. I get the granular touch. I see there are holes in it. Okay. I see the edges. I see the color. So what am I doing? I'm doing same as focusing on breath. But here I am focusing on the different sensations. The smell, the touch, the granularity, and the visual sense. And slowly I say, let me add one more sensation to it. And that is, I take a small bite and I feel the bite inside my mouth. Practice. We take 5 minutes to eat just quarter of one part of the biscuit. But you will realize that when you do it slowly, not slowly, when you do it with complete focus, complete attention on one single action, that is eating, you are fully immersed in it. There is nothing more in this world but just experiencing everything by those sensations. You are not taking it for granted. Otherwise, I would have eaten this long back. Experience it fully so that you know that you are eating. It's like you know you are eating. You are eating that you're knowing that you're eating. It's like mindfulness teaches. You know what you're doing. You're aware of what you're doing. So these 3 years, I got my mindful experience, mindful meditation experience when I was taking bath. Because the shower was so nice. It was rather cold in Dhammagiri, Igatpuri, and the water was warm. And it used to trickle down. I've got a beautiful pet, trickle down my body, and I used to feel the sensations all over body as the hot water runs down and the temperature changes. It was so nice, so pleasing that I realized that I'm so attached to it. But it changes every second. Good realization. So your experiences of this mindfulness can come anytime, anywhere, if you are aware. So this awareness can be created. It's like a training effort. You need to train. Mindful eating, you're not supposed to eat very slowly. You're supposed to eat with complete attention. You are doing everything with complete attention. Where is your attention? Like when I was with my guru, what was his teaching? We are walking and suddenly we'll tap on my shoulder and say, where are you? Where is your mind? Where is your mind? Are you breathing? Are you breathing? I used to laugh and say, Guruji, I'm breathing all, but you're not aware that you're breathing. So simple acts became extremely beautiful as they became mindful meditation. And then the stress and the anxiety levels start going down, and the mind is really at peace, harmonious, loving kindness with friendship, with self. And this is what the students must learn so that they will be at peace and they will not be taken by the temptations that they are plenty around, very plenty around. So this is the practice of mindful meditation. I would like to get some questions. Shaukat ji, is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can I start with a question?
Yes, please, sir.
Yeah. So, you know that our default neural network
Yeah,
system is more experienced with this mindlessness and being judgmental and all these things.
absolutely. I agree.
But at the same time, we have a hope that there is brain plasticity and
Correct.
we can change the way we perceive the world and
Correct.
the way we perceive about ourselves. But there is a gap between this default neural network and the what we are expecting the brain
Task
plasticity.
focus.
And yeah, and then we work in between. We
Mm-hmm.
have to do an active process.
Hmm.
So there should be some force from our side.
Hmm.
And that is against mindfulness. Like nothing should be forced. It should be
Yeah,
passive. It's
yeah,
so how we will manage this?
very good. This is possible only when we have a true friendly relationship with self.
Yes, yes.
True friendly relationship with it. Because understand we are like babies, you know, where the default neural network works, it is working mainly in the babies because they are completely on default. So we have to be very friendly with ourselves and say, let me do it. Okay, okay, my mind is running away. Please come back, please come back, please come back. And when you do that, then it's like breaking ice with oneself. And when you break that ice, slowly you like doing it. And the default network will come on. It will come on because it never disappears. It's always there. And it's a useful network also, because though you are concentrating from the corner of the eyes, the brain is looking for something threat. No, it's a primitive brain that we can't say that our brain has changed. The brain of a chimpanzee and human being is only little different. Only thing is that they've got small forehead and we got a bigger one. I got really endless forehead anyway, but it's a forebrain which has come out, while they have long jaws, bigger jaws. So this we have pressed and this we have got out. But the function of the brain is more or less same. So you have to train this default network to, bache chup bait, let me do this. So it's like training, training, training. And I would say becoming best friend with yourself is the key.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir. Thank you so much,
yes.
Dr. Barve, for such an incredibly insightful session.
Thank you.
He talked about the importance of mindfulness, the most discussed topic in the mental health during the last 2 decades. Yes, the mindlessness among all of us is sometimes so severe to cause disturbances in our body and mind. As Dr. Barve discussed, mindfulness is a pearl of Eastern wisdom, which is tested scientifically and proved to deal with the stresses in our everyday life very effectively. Yes, again, it is both science and art. His well-informed nuances connected to the topic to our students' current life issues like e-learning and pressures from academics, family, and friends. His explorations of our typical response to this stress, that is flight, fight, or freeze, was enriching. He superbly explained these concepts in the light of evidence from neuroscience. His suggestion that all the mental health problems are manufactured is a productive lesson to think further. Finally, mindfulness is all about being non judgmental, coming to the present and the presence, the here and now. As he suggested, let us try to develop a compassionate and a harmonious relationship with the self through practicing the exercises he suggested. Once again, on behalf of CCT Core Counseling Team, I express my deepest gratitude to Dr. Barve. Thank you all for joining us today. Levina, over to you to handle the Q&A session.
Yeah, thank you, Shaukat. Thank you very much. Yes, so the floor is open in for all the questions that you can ask us. You can ask Sir too. He's here in order to answer them. Yeah, so we have one question that's
Yes,
coming.
please.
Yeah, so when you practice mindfulness, there's always a feeling of helplessness or self-doubt that all this will not help. Even though you know it will sure but still some of us do not have the enough will or motivation to practice this exercise. How to overcome this?
Okay. Oh, so beautifully said, so beautifully articulated that you really get carried away by these emotions. Understand all these emotions are now what Shaukaji just said is these are all default mechanisms in the mind. We have been so conditioned to want to have things immediately relevant to us, immediately happen to us. This is the time of the instant coffee. So when people say, how do you say? I said, if I'm given a choice of a filter coffee and an instant coffee, I'll go for filter coffee. But I have to wait for a long time, the decoction you put at night, the hot boiling water, and slowly it trickles down, and you drink that coffee, and that really tastes much better than an instant coffee. But we are used to instant coffee. So there is nothing instant, but these emotions come instantly to our mind. Am I not audible?
So you're audible.
Okay. So these emotions of feeling bored, not liking, is it going to be useful? That kind of lazy feeling that we get is they are the hindrances. Buddha called them, these are the hindrances in the heedfulness. They are the hindrances And there is something called Nivarana, how to handle this. And we gave a very beautiful sermon on how to handle it. Just let it pass. Don't chase, don't chase it. Don't try to shoo it off. Just ignore it. Just let it pass. Yes, say that, well, I'm going to feel bored. Okay, boredom is part of life. But okay, the boredom is going to be there for a while. It will pass. Why you think it is permanent? It will pass. It's like gently training yourself. Gently training yourself. I remember a story. I give an example of a good shepherd. Good shepherd is a beautiful concept in Christians, in Catholics. What does it say? Good shepherd is one who is a very gentle shepherd. He knows that if he screams and shouts and hits the sheep, they'll just run helter-skelter. He just whistles very gently and says, please, my friends, please come and be part of this herd, and we'll move slowly. So this gentleness of the good shepherd is what we want to, develop within ourselves. And it takes time. It's not something which will happen the very next day. Even the most experienced meditators also have this problem that their mind runs away, because it's a natural state of the mind not to be at one place. The evolution says that if you are steady, there is a predator around, will come and pounce on you. This mentality has not got out of our system. You're still scared because the tiger is inside now. There's no predator outside. So we have to work on the primitive mind.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So we have another question.
Yes.
How to stop overthinking?
Oh, okay. Overthinking basically this understand how our mind thinks. Our mind thinks only with association. We get one word and we get several associations. We get one thought and there are several thoughts which are accompanied. So overthinking is essentially you get lost in the stream of the thoughts. One thing leads to another and it leads to another and leads to another. And we get carried away. So basically understand that these thoughts are not real. I say this to people, thoughts are not real. Thoughts are about reality. Thoughts are not real. Thoughts are manufactured products of the brain. They are the chemical products of the brain. They are produced by the neurochemical changes in the brain. What do you do with them? Nothing. Thoughts pass. Imagine yourself standing on the bank of a river. And what do you see? You see what? You see the flow of the water. So thoughts completely, they're moving all the time. So just watch them so that you don't indulge into them. And then you try to push them off and you say, oh, why am I thinking like this? Oh, this is too much of an overthinking. And overthinking, it is not overthinking, over emotional. Because we feel sad, we feel angry, and it's like opening a Pandora box and so many things come up. So it's best that, okay, there is a thought in my mind. I say there are two important sentences about overthinking. Number one is, I am thinking, and the second one is, there are thoughts in my mind. These two simple statements are very powerful. When I say there are thoughts in my mind, I've already separated myself from the process. Say, oh, there are these thoughts. Like I'm saying, there are these images. There is this room. There is this fan. There is an AC. There are pictures and this and that. I'm not those pictures. I'm not that fan. I'm not that AC. AC is different than mine. There are thoughts, and I see those thoughts. I'm not thinking. There are thoughts pass through my mind. So just remember, when you do overthinking, say, there are many thoughts in my mind. What do? Let them pass.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So there's another question.
Okay.
How does a concept of self or a higher self help in mindfulness meditation?
Okay. It's a real challenge. Actually, to tell you the truth, the reality is no self. The reality is no self, because we are just a conglomerate of so many sensations which we label as I, or which we label as self. So if you really go deep and you will study that the three basic truths about Buddha that he said is the dukkha, anitya, and anatta. That means the reality is about the. Okay, am I lost?
You are audible. You are
Okay.
sorry, you are audible.
Okay. Okay. So the dukkha we create because of the attachment. There is anatta. Understand it is impermanent, and if every moment is different, where is I in that? So actually, if you study, you will realize the no self, no self. There is no. There is you create mind, but there is actually no mind. So this is too metaphysical and too advanced, I can say. So if there is no self, there can be no higher self also, because there is no self. It's difficult to understand, but I mean, it's best that you right now just experience harmony more than enough. But if you really keep on doing it, keep on practicing mindful meditation, there will be time when you feel that no self. That means you are just conglomerate. When I experienced it, I said, I went and told my teacher, what is happening to me? I just see this is a machine here which breathes in and out, in and out, in and out. I said, oh, you feel that way? Just be there. Don't feel you are great. Just experience it. So that moment was very, very important, which is really no self moment.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Any more questions we will be taking in? Okay, so sir, with regards to the previous question that you answered,
Yeah.
there's another one. How to control emotions, because being carried away with emotions, either happy or sad, just take away from your reality, which creates some unconsciousness within yourself or inside yourself.
Yep.
How do you deal with that?
Number one, nobody can control emotions. Emotions are product. Emotions are what your mind conjures. Emotions what mind conjures. The mind processes it and conjures it and names it. This and that and this and that. It's like uh, the best way to deal with it is to understand these emotions are a neurochemical process in the brain. They come and they pass. Number one. Number two, close the accounts of emotions ASAP. Because what happens with emotions is that emotions, we always live with emotions. We are actually emotional beings. Human beings are actually emotional beings. So what happens is we tend to hold on to these emotions and we open different kinds of accounts in our own mind. Account here, I felt frustrated. So the name of the account is frustration. Okay, the name of account is anger. The name of account is being pushed away. Fear of being abandoned. Since childhood, I'm carrying it. Fear of not being loved enough. All these accounts we create, and all these accounts are kept, and they become fixed deposits. And we keep on adding to them, keep on adding to them. And every day you open the passbook, oh my God, there is so much, there is so much, there is so much. And it's compound interest. So best is you close the account and say, okay, right now I'm feeling sad. Okay, I'm feeling sad. Sadness is part of life. This will be there for a while and it will pass. You push it, it sticks to you. So sticking part of the emotions is what we are concerned. Emotions are going to be there. Don't open accounts. Close the accounts. Ignore them. And they are passing. Every emotion is going to be there. All kinds of emotions are there. Don't control because they start controlling you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
We'll be waiting in for another few more questions.
Okay. I'm happy that students are asking questions. There are few, but they're asking questions. That means they they were they were awake, awake and listening.
Yes, yes, sir.
Right, kids? Of course, they are.
Another few more minutes.
Okay, I guess we can.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so we can definitely uh, wind up for today. And
Yeah,
before we wind up, uh, just a word of thanks for today's session and the speaker for today's session. That's Dr. Thanks you very much for your time and for accepting our invitation and to commemorate on today's event, commemorating World Mental Health Day 2, which we will be celebrating tomorrow. This has been a wonderful and an inspiring session from you, sir. And I would also like to thank Hima ma'am and Tagare ma'am who have helped us in conducting this event. And for the whole team of the Student Wellness Center and the co-counseling team, and on behalf of all of us, and also we thank all our participants who have joined us. So, as the saying goes, do something today that your future self will thank you. So, keeping this in mind, this has definitely been a very inspiring and a very warm session from you, sir. So, thank you very much. And thanks to all our participants, and wishing you all a very good evening and a very good weekend. Thank you very much, sir. Thank
thank
you.
you, thank you, thank you.